Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, hot on the heels of a few days ago we just had the release and launch of the new DBMK, new manufacturer in the market of course, run by Ilya and Will. And we have now got their second release now. This caught me by surprise a little bit because my understanding originally was, when I spoke to them at Telford, and that they seemed to be thinking at that time there might be a slight delay in time between the Sea Fury arriving and the wonderful DeHaviland 103 Hornet F.Mk3 arriving, but they've sort of come at the same time in fact. And this has been very kindly loaned to me this time by one of their first in the queue customers, good friend David Mummery. And he bought them both, so hats off to David. So this is all helping this company, people pre-ordering and getting their orders in nice and early. I think I'm correct in saying off the top of my head from what he told me it's £125 retail. But before we get into doing the kit and seeing if it's as good as the Sea Fury, which was some amazing debut, let's be honest, I haven't seen anybody, in terms of the comments on my video of the inbox review, having anything but amazement and just stunned at how good it was. I think everybody felt the same way. So hats off to Will and Ilya. Fantastic piece of work. I did grumble a bit about lack of instruction detail, which I think was fair. One or two people seem to think that it's okay to go on Wikipedia, but I believe everything should be in the box. The one thing I didn't mention, by the way, was that they didn't include any masks either. That's the one other thing that perhaps they could do in the future now. We've got, obviously, other manufacturers. ICM don't give you masks. Generally Revell don't. Airfix have started doing so. I think Revell did in the new Meteor, didn't they? So I think there is a creeping acceptance with the manufacturers that it's important. But we'll see in the future. But apart from that, it was pretty much perfection, that kit. And I think it took quite a lot of people by surprise. So several people have popped up, especially in the United States, and said, "Wow, I've never heard of these guys. It's amazing," So I'm glad I did that because I've got quite a few followers in the USA and Australia and places like that were not very familiar with them or didn't know it was coming. So today we're going to look at the Hornet, but before we do, more importantly even, is I have the presentation that Will has very kindly sent to us about his company. So I thought it would only be polite and fair and fascinating, frankly, to actually have a good look at that. And this is the presentation that they gave at Yeovilton that I would have seen had I been able to travel there, which I wasn't able to. Don't moaning about my health again. I've just come back from the blooming dentist. Ooh, no. No, nothing done today. But she wants to drill me. She wants to drill me bad. Oh, I've got a month to wait before the day of execution, late May. Anyway, enough of that. I just can't seem to get away from medical maladies at the moment. Let's have a look at this, something to cheer me up, and you too, I'm sure. Let's have a look at this wonderful presentation that was shown at Yeovilton at the launch last week, which I wasn't able to attend. So, let's have a good old look at this. Have we got maximum brightness? Yes, we have. Now, it is, obviously, they're actually basically slides, so bear with me. I think I'll put it like that so you don't see the other side, because I don't really want you to see the slides ahead of time. So, could we in fact zoom it in a bit more? That might help us a little bit. How's that? Yeah, that's okay. That's quite good. Right then, so launch was at the Navy Wings hangar at Yeovilton, which of course is the dedicated historical museum hangar, which of course has that Sea Fury in it, so a perfect place to launch it. Who is DBMK? Now then, several of you have been asking me about the name, and one or two sarcastic comments about the MK means model kits. Yes, very, very good. Yes, I had worked that part out, but what about the rest of it? Well, he won't tell us. It's a big secret, apparently, a bit of a mystery. So these two are international men of mystery, like Austin Powers. I suspect it's something to do, either it's the name of their kids or maybe their partner's christening name. I'm guessing, but I think you'll probably find it'll come out in the wash in the end, I'm sure. That it'll be something as simple as that. Anyway, so it's DB model kits, we'll call them. DB model kits. And, yeah, they are Ilya and Will. Now, as I warned you, there's pictures of Ilya when he was in the army. I think he was in the army in the Soviet era. And then you got Will, who was clearly here Looks like he's in a chieftain tank, it looks like to me. And some of their background and yeah, just a few pictures of them in their younger days. Now then, our approach. Accuracy really is the priority. No scanning, no factory drawings, no kit. So in other words, I don't need that, thank you. So in other words, if they can't get the quality of the information in terms of the detail, they're not going to produce a kit. They've got to scan it, they've got to have drawings, or they're not going to produce it. High pressure injection moulded plastic, moulded in the UK, based in the UK. Yeah, I might have to come to that because I'm not sure that's true of the Hornet, but anyway, not according to its labelling. Technology now allows us to innovate, and we fully intend to. Buildability is also important, which is great. By modelers, for modelers, and this is exactly what we need more of. Now, I have moaned in the past about various companies. Airfix was one. Tamiya, actually, I had a bit of a moan. This is very unusual. But Tamiya and Airfix both made the same faux pas with their big Spitfire models, where I moaned about the way they position the sprue contact gate point right in the centre of the seam, where the actual the weld seam is supposed to appear, and does in the moulding, and then they've gone and attached it there. So that both those companies, and I moaned at the time and said, oh, these guys, if they were proper modellers, they wouldn't have made a schoolboy error like that, because they'd know that that would require a lot of cleanup. And that's what these guys are trying to do. They're trying to say, and by the way, I should just say both Tamiya and Airfix since, in the case of the Mosquito for Tamiya, and in the case of Airfix's 109, lessons did seem to be learned by both companies, I think, from that, because it was, I'm sure I wasn't the only one that moaned about it. You've only got to build it and you realise what the problem is straight away. So these guys are trying to avoid that, obviously, because they are thinking about it from a modelling point of view. And by the way, I just want to make a quick disclaimer here. I'm not criticising Tamiya generally, or Airfix generally. For example, Airfix, because they're close to home, we know them a bit better. People like Paramjit at Airfix and Matt Whiting tend to design designs that don't have those sort of flaws in them. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, the modellers who design models, you can always tell. So like these guys, and like people like Paramjit, Airfix and others, you can always tell. And that's what this is about. So these guys are modellers, and they are going to be very much thinking about the modelling process in their design sort of ethos as they go through it. So, the Sea Fury. Why the Sea Fury then? So, here we go. Charismatic subject, well that's putting it mildly, 007. Charismatic subject, last of the piston engine fighters, last and greatest for sure. Used by a number of countries. One of my members, actually, I was going to say subscribers, but one of my members, Mustafa, he's actually, he's a Pakistani origin, and he pointed this out saying, oh, they should have done a Pakistani one. So I don't know if there's going to be any aftermarket. I suspect the aftermarket boys might get on this, because I think there was 2 or 3 more countries that, and you can't put them all in the box, of course you can't. I'm sure that DBMK chose the most popular ones in terms of what they thought was going to sell. But I'm sure you will be able to get some aftermarket decals and things like that for it. So yeah, but yeah, perhaps a more popular aircraft than we realise, in fact. And he says, as it says, used by a number of countries, combat record in the Korean War, no mainstream kit or was readily available apart from horrible vac form, and let's not go there. Okay, our starting point then is research. Using LiDAR to capture the shape of the actual aircraft, extensive review of the photographs and publications, pilot's own notes, technical publications including repair manuals, that's always useful, factory drawings, expert SMEs, and decide on the versions. You can never have enough research. Of course not. Absolutely right. The long design process. Here we go. So it's saying, first you've got to get the LiDAR scan to capture the shape, then decide on the parts breakdown, add in the detail areas, cockpit, undercarriage bay, etc. Add the surface detail. Part 2. Review each stage of the CAD carefully. So looking here at different types of rudders and what sort of tabs they've got, and looking how some of these things interact with each other. You can see there, if you look very carefully, that there's some design drawings from the original design drawings that they're using as a reference point. On the screen, there you go. And over here, this is on the 3D scanner. in terms of the 3D design process, trying to decide how to interleave and how to overlay different elements of the design from the basic internals of the model. Then, whoops, the long design process. So then we start getting into the tooling, deciding how best to create it, getting it designed up, and of course this one you have to invest in different companies, of course. Designing the ancillaries, so obviously that's things like your decals, your PE parts, your artwork, and your PE fret for the things like the cockpit instruments, as you can see there, and of course you've got all the design of the colour callouts as well. Some of the features of the kit, some of the outstanding features you might say, nice clear parts, which you know, I'm the greatest critic. If your clear parts have got a fault, I'm afraid I'm going to find them pretty much every time. But you know, these were nice, weren't they? And you've got this lovely slide moulded exhaust, which were really good as well. These, I mentioned this about the very clever use of the outside of the circumference, if you will, of the actual sprue frame to put all these little tiny parts on, which was quite clever, probably very cost effective as well. And then you've got some of the fine detailing work, attention to detail. They've got things like these little latches here for the release for the cowlings, some of the internal details there as well. And then kicking the arse out of it, oops. Yeah, basically then turning everything up to 11, and you can see that they certainly did that. The detail in that undercarriage bay is probably the best I've ever seen on any kit at 132 that I can recall. And then you've got a fantastically detailed interior of the cockpit. Beautiful. We've got opening cowls. Now, did I miss something here? Because I don't remember there being that much detail on the engine. Perhaps I've just not been paying attention. I think I wasn't actually. But you know, a lot of thought has gone into that. It's going to bug me now because I thought it didn't have opening cowls. But anyway, it may be a slight design change there. I'm not sure. But you can see how much effort they've gone to get even the things like the ribbing on the back of the internal side of the wheel doors. Fantastic. And then of course there was this rather sad story about their colleague who did the 3D designing, Konstantin Kolobov, who was lost in action fighting for his country, for Ukraine, in this awful war. So, you know, quite a poignant moment. Someone that, you know, you can directly relate to. You can see his work in that kit, and sadly he's been lost. So very sad indeed. Very sad indeed. What's next then? So that's the launch. Obviously we've seen that now, which has been a mighty impressive debut, and that was putting it mildly. So what they've announced so far: the Hornet, which we're going to see today, the Supermarine Scimitar, which is going to be a 172 and 148. That's fantastic to have it in 2 scale. I hadn't appreciated that. Then the F11F Tiger, also 172 148. The Thunder Chief, the 105, that's going to be also 172 and 148. And I think covering these 2 scales is a fantastic idea. Then the Spitfire Griffin variants at 132, which I definitely look forward to. And the Hawker Seahawk at 132 that will be coming in the near future as well. So you've got a heck of a lot of very ambitious programme, more ambitious than almost anybody else. And to announce it, you know, this is even more ambitious than, say, Qatari at the moment, I'd say. Innovations. Significant increase of the use of 3D printing, optimising the tool design to reduce the cost. Greater use of ecosystem to deliver. Not sure what they mean by that. Greater use of partnerships. Well, we've seen that obviously with Cartograph and Edward, etc. And of course, in the case of the Sea Fury, they had their manufacturing done in the UK by Plastec in New Haven. And there they are. They've got the logo here. Improved accuracy, reduced the break-even number, reduced time to market. Now, it's still a very difficult subject. I remember talking to them at Telford when I was chatting to Will briefly, and they were saying, yeah, sorry about the delay, folks, you know, they still take longer than you realise. And I thought, yeah, I can believe it. And when you see the way that they've gone about the detail, I'm thinking, yeah, this is not. You won't produce a kit like this in a couple of months. You're just not going to do that. And I think it was 18 months to 2 years it took them in the end to get it really launched. And I suppose once they get the relationship started and partnerships going with the manufacturers, then it becomes easier. Which is why they've now, obviously, they've said to people, we want this Sea Fury, but we're also going to do this, 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 and this. So that then gives a bit more of a solid sort of contract and a relationship between those manufacturers to work with. Next subjects. This is beyond the list you've already seen. Look at this. So they're going to go with a 132 Allison engined Mustang series, P51, A36, P51A F6. Good gracious, amazing! And these early Mustangs are quite interesting subjects, and not very well represented, as you probably know. So that's going to be fascinating. And then the 32nd scale Sabre Dayfighter family. So the F86A, the Canadair Sabre Mark IV as well. That's going to be nice, isn't it? I'm looking forward to those. Going to be a whole series of them, and obviously they're doing a lot of research here. Some of the artworks and things that they're working on. Key features. Looking at the details of how they're going for the subtle differences between each model. Obviously here you've got things like the rounded windshield, the long canopy, J35 engine, narrow chord wing with individual slats, etc, etc. A lot of detail on each, subtle differences between each one. These nuances that need to be, given fair attention. So they're not going to leave any stone unturned. And here we got the other one was the A5. And then the A67, differences with the guns, differences with the lip on the intake. Subtle differences between each one, not just throwing it out as if it's all the same. Amazing. I mean, it could be here all day reading this. So it just gives you a bit of a flavour for the details of what they're analysing to make each one right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Steady on. I know I got very excited about it, but let's keep things in perspective, shall we? Oh no, they mean coming to Yeovilton. I'm sorry. I think I may have said the wrong thing there. Right, so I don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? It was a very exciting event we suddenly on this, but I'm very, very grateful that Will shared that with us, and that I hear it was a very good event all round and much enjoyed. So maybe next time. Let's get down to business then. Let's see number 2, the sequel. Gosh, it's exciting, isn't it? I can't believe it. No, it feels like my birthday. Feels like that was my birthday now. Christmas has arrived straight away a couple of days later. So let's get straight into it. Enough waffle from me. Let's get cracking. Let's see what we've got this time to delight us. So it's kit number DBMK 32001. Isn't that an error, folks? Because I'm sure it said 001 on the first kit. I think it should be 002 actually. It says 32001. Not sure there might be a misprint there, but anyway, I think that might need looking at. But look at this. What have we got? Now, 338 plastic parts, 56 in photo etched parts. I just want to say as well, I'm not sort of backtracking here, but let's put my light on here. Oh no, I can't, it's dark. Not doing a light then, okay. I did feel that the 117 photo etched part was quite a lot, to be honest, on that first kit. This has got half as many, which I think is probably a bit more of a good number. 32 3D printed parts. This is going to be amazing. And clear rods and clear film. Okay. So let's give you that flavour for what's on the side. Now here is where we have a slight difference, and wasn't really explained in the presentation, although that was really based on the Sea Fury. The first one said that it was designed in Ukraine and it was made in England, moulded in England. This one says designed and moulded in Ukraine. So a slight difference there. But we still get, we've got 3D printed parts from Armoury Models Group. We get the finest of the fine from Edouard and Cartograph, so we should be in for an absolute treat. says on the side. Yeah, well, actually, we do seem to be getting a bit more info here. So I don't know if that's also inside, but we'll see. This is good. Okay, it says the DeHaviland DH.103 Hornet, conceived in 1941, was a sleek twin Merlin fighter, famed for its speed, agility, and aerodynamic efficiency. It's like a racing version of the Mosquito, really, isn't it? Trimmed down to a single crew. With a top speed of 485 miles per hour. It was likely the fastest piston-engine service aircraft ever. Entering the RAF service in 1946, the later F3 Mark saw action in the Malayan emergency where it operated as a fighter bomber. Captain Eric Winkle Brown called it a pilot's aeroplane par excellence. He should know. How many planes did he fly? 600. Jeez. He was the chief test pilot for the Navy. The Hornet, he also worked at Farnborough later as well, of course, it wasn't just the Navy. The Hornet marked the pinnacle of propeller-driven fighter design. The pinnacle, absolute pinnacle. On the side, we have got, oops, oh, let's flip everything again, okay. We've got 3 schemes this time, not quite as many schemes. And we have got Royal Air Force based in Kai Tak, that's Hong Kong Airport basically, in 1954. And then this one, which is quite impressive, with the low vis markings, Royal Air Force doesn't say where, 41 Squadron, and that makes it look very mean and almost kind of later, doesn't it, you know? And then this one that's in like a silvery grey, sorry, medium sea grey it is. And this is operated by the Royal Air Force number 41 Squadron 1949. 1949, that one was 1949 to 50. So 3 variants then. So it did see service and it did see some action in the Malayan episode. Yes, we'd had these in, late 1944, we'd have been in the pound seats, wouldn't we? But then the Germans would always say if we had our 262s in the Battle of Britain, blah blah blah, Let's move on and look at the facts. Let's not get into hypotheses and speculating. Okay. Oh, we've got bag. Okay, so we've got different bags this time. We seem to have Ziploc bags today, which is different. I don't know if that's from the manufacturer or if a friend of the channel, David, has put those on. I've got a feeling they must be from the manufacturer because they seem to be tailored sizes. Right. Should not lose anything. Clear parts. Ooh. Nervous, don't I? And what have we got here? Some clear film. I'm sure that is, but I think we've got to be careful not to lose it. Right, so pop that over there. I'll move that as well, actually. So this is, by the way, several of you have started complaining to me recently, this week in particular, saying, stop it, really stop it, Peter, stop it. You are costing us a bloody fortune. We can't afford to keep buying these models like this. There's too good, too many. Yes, please stop. God, stop! Somebody stop him. Slurp of tea. No alcohol today. It's a bit earlier in the day today. But yes, I think one or two of you get a bit frustrated that every time I come on TV that I cost you a lot of money, basically. Oh, now then. Okay. Okay, so we don't seem to have any. Okay. I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to complete that sentence. What did I say at the debut kit on the Fury? I said I did wonder. It seemed very strange that DBMK did not include any history of the aircraft at all in the instructions, and there was these 2 pages at the end that were blank, and I said, oh, maybe I've got a prototype. Well, maybe I did, because they've done it here. We've actually got history, so I'll come to that in a second, and it tells you a bit more than what we've just seen on the box, which is great. So I'm really impressed with that, and it's also got screen references, bit more background about the technical stuff, about how it's made. What's that in here? Oh, we seem to have some stenciling and masking, and we've got masks. So it's I'm sure they didn't listen to me and make these changes in like 24 hours. Impossible. So obviously yeah, I think they were, as I suspected, very keen to get that original Sea Fury out as quickly as possible. I'm sure they needed a return on their investment. So some of the criticisms I made, which were small, let's be honest, very, very small indeed, I think have gone here. So let's start with this. To prove my point, we've got a mask set. Ah, perfect. That's exactly what we needed on the Sea Fury. It wasn't missing from my kit, was it? Strange. If anybody else, all the rest of you that have got that Sea Fury kit, just confirm whether you had a mask set or not. Because mine definitely didn't. So here we go. So we've got a nice mask set here. Produced by... Oh, it's an Aura mask. Well, of course, I used to work in this industry. Self-adhesives, as some of you may know. Aura Film, one of my competitors. So that should be absolutely fine. Yeah, I think that'll be great. It just looks big, doesn't it? Look at the... Can you see that? The wheels and tyres masks look huge. It's got quite a big cockpit as well. That's fantastic. I'm delighted. I'm delighted because I think that it was really just an element of you know, the very first attempt, and maybe something got overlooked, or maybe there was a little less, maybe even a mistake in the printing got missed or something. And these things have already, two of the criticisms I made here have been addressed. So that's fantastic. So that's that one. Then we've got we've got separate stencils, quite a few. Oh my goodness, look at this lot. So they've gone for the smaller decal sheets. Is that actually... Is it printed by Cartograph? Because it doesn't... It says so on that one. It is, yeah. It's a very fine print at the top right if you look. I'm just checking. Yeah. Yes, we've got some quite important stencil information here. Nice stencils, those, Cartograph. You can't go wrong with them. They look absolutely spot on, don't they? Can't fault that lot. Just be patient. Patience is needed for sure. We'll pop those over there. And we'll pop that with our stencils, masks I mean. And then we'll have a look at the main markings, including these, you know, quite late looking, aren't they? Look almost 70s type RAF markings. Beautifully printed, those. Stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. Yep. Yeah, I like that. Flawless. Absolutely stunning. Right, so that's that. Then we have... I'm trying to make sure I don't damage anything here, especially as it's David's, not mine. Then we have got a guide here, which is the masking guide, which looks really clear, I've got to say. Apply dark grey or black water-based wash. Yeah, so it's saying, yeah, a base wash to give you that sort of the impression of the different colour underneath on the inside of the actual windscreen. And then here you've got, obviously, you've actually got some masks for the lights as well, and you've got internal and external masks for the actual internal here, external here for the cockpit canopy. And then you've got this is the lights that are on the I think it's on the nose gear. And then the masks for painting your wheels against your tyres. Oh yeah, it's saying use masking fluid for the gun sight. That's a bit mean of them. Oh, okay. So it's just saying do it differently, but that's a big jump. So from just the first kit to the second kit, and in the back it's just got all the zillions of stencils. But from the first kit to the second kit, you can see an instant evolution, which is more than most people manage. A lot of the manufacturers manage to do that from kit 1 to kit 2. You know, there's me saying, "Oh, they should have done this. Should really have done this." Bang! 48 hours later, I'm sitting here and it's done. Fantastic. Right, very good. As I say, I don't think they'll listen to me because it's not physically possible. They must have already. I just think that they one or two small things, perhaps just in their urgency to get that first one out, they may have just slightly overlooked, and now they've sort of scooped them up with the second kit. So here we go. This is our Edward photo etch, and again, it looks really. I think this looks actually better than it did on the Sea Fury. Oh, this is gorgeous. Check this out. So you've got the seat belts, and you've got all the instrumentation, and it's finely detailed. Wow. Yeah. Check it out. It's nice. Very, very nice. It's got some photo etch plates there. It looks like on the exhausts. That's interesting. Proudly made in the Czech Republic by Edward. There you go. Fabulous stuff. Impressive. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When Edward do well, they do very, very well. It's just certain things like the decals where I get a little bit grumpy about it, you know. But they've done that nicely. Super. Put that away. Should I keep it nice for David? There we go. Right. The destructions then. Let's just move that plastic. It's quite different to the Sea Fury. It doesn't seem to have these great big sprues. They seem to go for lots of small sprues. Quite a different approach in the design philosophy. I wonder if that's because they've gone and it's a different, maybe well, the toolmaker's the same, I'm not sure. But we know that it's being moulded in the Ukraine, not the UK, so there's a difference there. So perhaps it suited them for that reason. Anyway, for me, let's get cracking. So I will go to the back and read you this little bit of a little bit more detail about the the Hornet, I should say. As I Sea Fury then. So, what does it say here? Let me tell you a story. The DeHaviland DH.103 Hornet was conceived in 1941 as a high-speed, long-range fighter tailored for operations in the Pacific Theatre. With the Mosquito entering full-rate production and jet development already underway, DeHaviland had design capacity to pursue a private venture. Initial concepts DH101 and DH102 explored Sabre and Griffin engines, but by late 1942 the company settled on a twin Merlin-powered, compact, fast and agile design. That's down to availability. The trouble is, if you are doing R&D on a new aircraft that's got the most advanced engine available, which the Griffin was, and Sabre for that matter, you're asking a lot, aren't you? Because you're going to be competing with established designs like the Spitfire that need it more urgently, potentially. Anyway, design-wise, the Hornet was a masterclass in aerodynamic refinement. It retained the Mosquito's wooden construction, but introduced a slimmer fuselage, laminar flow wings, it's very, very thin wings, yeah, tightly cowled Merlin 130-131 engines producing 2,070 horsepower each. So the one I flew in, did I ever tell you, by the way, that I once flew in a Spitfire? I did, okay. The one behind me, it's behind my head. That had 1,750 horsepower. That was the Packard version. So this 2,070. That's a lot. 4,000 horsepower. It was no wonder it was going at 485. It says here. They had counter-rotating propellers, or propellers going in the opposite directions. These features enabled a blistering top speed of 485 miles an hour at 22,000 feet. Probably the fastest of any piston engine service aircraft, with superb handling in the world. Armament included 4 20mm Hispano cannons, just like in the Mosquito, and provisions for rockets or bombs up to 1,000 pounds, making it a very potent strike platform. Throughout World War II, though it missed World War II combat, the Hornet entered RAF service in 1946 and saw action during the Malayan Emergency Campaign. Operating from Singapore, the Hornets conducted ground attack missions and reconnaissance, proving their worth in tropical conditions. The Sea Hornet variant, adopted for carrier use as an all-weather fighter, served with a fleet air arm. The famous Captain Eric Winkle Brown, who holds the record for the most number of aircraft types ever flown, rated the Hornet as his absolute favourite and praised its performance. He said, "The Hornet," well, I'm not really good at doing impersonation, "the Hornet was a pilot's aeroplane par excellence. It had beautiful handling, delightful characteristics, and was incredibly fast for a piston-engined aircraft." He further remarked, "Its acceleration was phenomenal, and it could outturn most contemporary fighters with ease." He was a great guy, wasn't he, Winkle Brown? Despite its brief service life, the Hornet represented the very zenith of propeller-driven aircraft fighter design. An elegant, lethal machine that bridged the gap between wartime innovation and the jet age. Yeah, amazing. It's a shame it hasn't got a higher profile, really. And it has this sort of clipped wing design, hasn't it? Anyway, let's get into that. Let's look at the actual instructions properly. I'll zoom you in. Enough chit-chat, let's have a look at some good stuff. So you start off with sprue maps. Quite a lot to go at here. Oh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. Looks like we're going to get some 3D printed parts that's got the complete... This is the one, like, if you think about my Mosquito, which is very similar in design terms. Look at that. That looks like it's a complete 3D printed part. Not the many parts I had to put into mine, of course. That's going to be impressive. We get the colour chart again. We haven't got any colour call-outs or model colours. We haven't got any recommended paints. Just the British standard colours, which you can find out what the closest is. There are converters online you can use. I still prefer if they're named like Tamiya, Mr. Colour, Vallejo, probably maybe ICM as well. What else would we be using? Attacker, AK. I think those are the main ones, and maybe even MiG as well. But yeah, it would be helpful to have that. Anyway, let's get cracking onto this. Here we go. So, first of all, we're starting with our seats. Don't forget we've only got one crew in this aircraft, the pilot. So we're going to do his seat belt, lots of photo etch to work on. Then we have got basically his parachute. That's his parachute, which acts as effectively as a seat cushion. Ask me how I know. Not all that comfortable, but yeah, you don't worry about that, especially if you think you might need it. Then over here we've got the actual, the final assembled, slightly tricky looking assembly for the main seat belts going in there with the central locking clasp and quick release. Goes in on your seat here. What's that? DB1. Again, we have got this thing where we haven't got any descriptions, which I would like to see change in the future. Please, can we have some descriptions on the instructions? But this is the gun sight here, section 6, pulling in your gun sight. Then we've got our main instrument paddle coming in, and you're going to put in a couple of knobs and switches, and there's a PE fret there as well, including the fantastic Edward pre-printed one. Then you're putting in your gun sight here. Then over here we've got some various trim wheels, elevator I think, and aileron trim wheels on the left. And you have got, do we have an ejector seat in this? No, we don't. Still haven't got, no, the ejector seats came in with the jets, didn't they, really? So you're building up your cockpit floor, attaching that to the side of the fuselage. You've got your main armour plate, shield behind the pilot, complete with headrest there. That goes in, and then your seat fits onto that. And then you've got the right side, starboard side of the cockpit. And you've got your bulkhead, lower bulkhead going in there to where the bomb bay is, I think. We'll see in a minute, I think it is. Then we have got our main control stick, and it has got a stick, not a yoke in this. And then you bring in your main instrumentation panel onto it like so. And then we're going to start to build up the sides of the cockpit with all the various bits of switches and switchgear and instrumentation. And we've got what looks like the fuel tanks here coming in. That's going to go underneath. You've got it's actually an access port. I thought, sorry, that when I was looking at those decals and the masking set, I thought it was to do with the gear, but it isn't. I think it's a viewing port where they can have cameras for reconnaissance purposes. So that goes in. It's got a hatch which flips open hatch. So is that how he climbs aboard the aircraft then? I guess it is, isn't it? So it's actually an access hatch as well for the pilot. Okay. So it's quite different to the Mosquito, much further back. Interesting. And you've got two different nose versions, it looks like, here as well. Oh yeah, and it has the pedals, the rudder pedals, fixed right at the front of the aircraft, fixed right to the back of the nose, look. Wow. Sure enough. And the nose goes on there. You've got your main spars and some ribs going in here. That looks very cool. So then you mount your actual wings onto the spars. Then you have your ailerons coming in here, and you've got the central sort of box sections for the radiators that are going to go in, which will be at the front of the wing. And then we're going to bring the fuselage and the wing together. You've got a choice here to have the gun access port. You can have that you can separate it if you want to. I don't think you have to though, do you? And then you've got, this is where the 20mm Hispano cannons come out, of course. Well, the muzzles will be. I don't think they're actually physically featured there. I'm not sure if you're actually going to see them. Do you or do you not? Oh, you do, yes, because I just didn't quite spot that. So that's actually the muzzles of the guns there, just below my thumb is. And you fit that, a bit like in the Tamiya Mosquito, very similar. Then we have got the gear legs, and I don't know if we've got metal rods again in this one or not. Not quite clear. Is it metal? Not sure. We might get into that in a minute. But you're going to mount those left and right side main gear legs. Then you've got what's that? 40. Oh, it's the mounting spinner for the actual where the engines will come through. I think the spinner. Building up your nacelles here, and then obviously fitting in both your exhausts here, which are 3D printed, and obviously this is your assembly for your main gear leg. Then you've got the gear doors going in, and then you've got that back plate that you've just assembled a second ago, I mentioned here, which goes on the back. So there's no actual engines in this, you just see the exhausts. The mating surfaces of the nacelle should be flat, and care is needed to ensure a good fit. So you must make sure they fit square and flat. Fit the radiators after the nacelles are in place. So some quite helpful advice going on here. That's good. That shows again, model, by modelers for modelers. They thought about it, the actual process of you building the kit. Then here we've got the tail wheel going together, and you're fitting in your main wheels and tyres onto the bottom of the legs. And then you've got this filleted tail that the Hornet has that makes it look different to the Mosquito. The actual tail itself, the rudder, is very similar, but the actual tail, vertical stabiliser, has this fillet design, a bit like the Mustang. And then you've got here the horizontal stabilisers with the elevators. And then you're going to build up your propellers and spinners here. Fitting them in like so. Propeller's rotation direction. So make sure you put the right propeller on the right side, in other words. Yes. And then you've got some wing lights and pitot on the end. Popping in your canopy and windscreen, either shut or open or closed. And then again we've got the rockets. Somebody said they were £60 rockets, so I'll take your word for it. £60 rockets as per the end of World War II. And somebody said what the bomb was, and I've forgotten what they said now. £300 was it? Anyway, that needs to be stated, guys. That's the one thing you haven't improved here. But yeah, we just need a bit more data. That's all. Oh, it says it there. Okay, so it says it there. it says the tank size, £1,000 GP bomb. It suddenly appears. We should have put it there, really, shouldn't we? But anyway, we've got the information, that's fine. It's almost like they realised perhaps that it was missing. And then we go into our markings and your kit is finished. Okay. So I sort of skipped over that a bit, didn't I? So that's the final, yeah, it doesn't, strange, it doesn't show you a final frame of the finished kit, just go straight to the colour call out. But anyway, not to worry. I like that one, I've got to be honest, that's the one that I fancy, this one. Yes. This is the one, doesn't say where it was based unfortunately, but number 41 Squadron. So I'm presuming it's UK. And then you've got this other one which I think was maybe, is that Far East as well? Again, doesn't really tell us, could have done it with knowing where it was based. And there we go. So, one or two tiny glitches, but a big improvement in terms of some of the detail, the history, and there is some detail about the bombs and things. The only thing that still remains that I'd like to see really is a bit more info about what paints to use, but there we go. But no, that's a nice instruction book. Little bit of tweaking for the future on the next design, and it's perfection, you know, because there's nothing wrong with the clarity of how to actually build the kit. That's really good. I'm just going to bear with me a second, so I don't want any of this to get damaged. If I'd be better in a bag. Maybe they should have bagged that. I might, before I send this back to David, I may bag it for him just for safety. Not keen on it going back all loose like that. Let's get cracking with the plastic then. So, I'd say on the instructions front, it's a 9.5 out of 10. Definite improvement on the first set with the Sea Fury. So, where are we going to start? Strange because there's all these relatively small bags. Tell you what we'll do. Let's take my life in my hands again, and let's start with the clear parts. Because, as I say, they can make or break a kit, and it's horrible to build up people's expectations and then only find out as the last thing in the review that they're no good. Not that that happened with the Sea Fury, they were really nice, no problems at all. So I'm hoping we're going to have a replay. Oh, problem. Stop that. Right. Here we go. I would say it's a little bit of distortion, nothing like some of the kits that I've really screamed and hollered about recently. It's not quite as good, I don't think, but remember it is it's a bigger canopy, bubble canopy this, but it's not quite as perfect as it was, I think, on the Sea Fury. But it is perhaps a bigger canopy. I wonder if you can see this. Can you see? Yeah, you can make out, I think, a bit of distortion there. It's not, you know, Hankel 111 from Border bad though, anything like that. But it's not quite to the same level. Now, I am presuming that this is, it says that it was made in the Ukraine, it says it was moulded in the Ukraine, so I'm thinking this is not Plastec, and that could be a differentiator there. But that windscreen is absolutely fine. See, the flat areas generally are much easier to manufacture, you know, successfully, basically. When we get to, that's not quite as perfect, are they? But when we get to these really bubble type canopies, that's when things start to get difficult. I don't think that's quite to the standard that we saw on the Sea Fury, if I'm honest. It's still nice though, and it, you know, to the naked eye, I've got to say, it doesn't look quite as extreme as perhaps it does on the big zoom. But I don't feel that's quite as good, but not bad, not bad. It's not something that I'd say, whether I knock it a quarter of a point off of that, I may do. But it's not terrible, it's not bad. It's just not quite the same standard as we had in the first kit, I don't think. But we shall see. Let's move on. Next one. It's very strange that they're on these very tailored Ziploc bags, but I'm not complaining. That's a great idea. Very good. I'd like to see more of that. I'm sure it's a bit too tailored. Right then, let's have a look at this. So this is our. Now remember, it's a wooden aircraft, so it's a bit like my Mosquito I'm building from Tamiya. Yeah, careful now. I don't feel this is as good as what we had from Plastic. I think you're going to see that. Get rid of that. I don't think that is to the same standard. We've got some flash here. The contact points look a bit crude, if I may say so. And I don't like the way that they overlap either. I'm notorious for hating this overlapping contact points that have two, that actually contact on two faces, not just one, like that does. So it contacts there and then it contacts on the side as well, because that requires very tricky cleanup. And I've had several people say it's easy. It isn't. Not going to get a perfect result. It isn't. That's one side. Let's look at the other side. Yeah, I just don't feel this has got the same finesse that the Sea Fury had on the Plastic. Now I know that was slightly different because it had lots and lots of detail. So whether the guys at DBMK will and Ilya thought that because it's like a Mosquito and it doesn't have panel lines and rivets on it, that it was less critical. But there's some flash here, isn't there? That doesn't look to me to be at the same level. Yeah, that Plastic. And the surface quality of it as well is a bit. You see the actual tool marks in it. It's a bit crude, relatively speaking. I'm talking here. I'm not sure that's as good. So, I've got a funny feeling that because of the nature of this kit, they've chosen to perhaps use the Ukrainian injection moulders. Undoubtedly, they'd probably be cheaper than Plastics. Plastic are not. I'm sure they're not cheap. We've had this discussion regarding Airfix in the past. I think it was one of the reasons they didn't go back to them. This is not criticism of anybody, by the way, but I think that was the reason that Airfix probably didn't go back to them with the 109, which was a bit of a shame, really, because that could have been epic if Plastic had moulded it for them. I just wonder if that's what's happened here, because it's a simpler surface detail. They didn't think it was as critical. That doesn't seem quite as nice, but let's go and look at things like the wings now. Let's see how they compare. Okay, the wings. And it's all taped up, in fact. Is it tape? It is sellotape. Sorry, David. I'm sure he would want me to take this off though, because I can always re-tape it for him. It's a bit strange. I do need the knife, I think, don't I? Thought I wasn't going to need it today. Just bear with me, folks. Sorry about this. Tape sticking everything. Come on. I don't want to damage anything. Rip it off impatiently, you know. Right, we're there. Not sure I like that, actually. Right. Well, I have to say to you that what I've just said applies again here. I don't think this is up to the same standard, is it? I really don't. Yes, we know that it doesn't have the same level of detail, but the surface quality here doesn't look the same. And again, there's hints of flash here and there. It's not the same standard as the Sea Fury, is it? Simple as that, really. I'll zoom it in, you can make your own mind up. I'm not feeling this is it a problem? It probably isn't. Let's just say it's not warp trapping, is it? Let's don't think it is. No, it looks alright. It looks well manufactured enough, you know. It's just the finesse of the surface, it just isn't there. It looks a bit... It looks like it's from, you know, years gone by to me, not from 2026, if I'm honest. I think that could have been done a lot better. And some strange marks here as well on it, which I don't know what that is. On the other side, opposite wing, again we've got some strange marks. Not sure what that all is. That's not the finest. You know, that's not even up with border, is it? It's nowhere near, in fairness. Surface quality. But will it build into a nice kit? Yes, I think it probably will. It doesn't look, as I say, it doesn't look warped or anything like that. Let's just try this side. Try it. No, it looks all right. I can't see any real evil here, any warpage or anything like that. So I don't want to be too harsh. It just looks a bit like the tooling needed a little bit more finesse. You know, I mean, we talk about ICM. Theirs is very finesse tooling now. I mean, they're right up there, aren't they? And we talk about their clear parts because there is this story that they told me to my face. So I ain't blowing a tail here or anything. There's this young guy who somehow polishes the tool for the clear parts to get this amazing finish that they achieve. I think they're the best of the lot now at clear parts. And this young man polishes this tool and he gets it to a really high, like a mirror finish. And that's what gives you that beautiful clear look to their clear parts for the canopies, etc. That looks a little bit more crude to me. That looks a bit more crude. Anyway, we'll not dwell on it. We'll pop that back in there. Let's have a look at the other parts. Okay, well we have got more of the same, haven't we? This is not built moulded to the same standard as the Sea Fury was. You can see it, I'm afraid. So let's just forget the Sea Fury for a second because that was amazing. Yeah. Let's just forget that. Let's just compare it with something like ICM or Airfix. I don't think it's as good. This is not looking as good as ICM or Airfix. Now, hang on a second because Airfix have had a lot of quality problems. But again, you've got you've got a nasty sink mark. Now, there was one on the Sea Fury in the same spot, not the same spot. It was right at the base, but on the Sea Fury's design, it would not be seen because a few people picked up on this. But these sink marks here, I think you might see. There's especially that one. That's where is it in relation to the prop? It might just be covered, but that's not great. I've got to be honest, it's not great. Yeah. That's not the finest sprue, and it looks a bit crude, doesn't it? This is saying, I'm thinking back on the other kits I've reviewed over the years, it feels a bit frog-like, if you know what I mean. It feels a bit... That doesn't feel like it's been done the last 15 years as a tooling design I'm talking about. I'm not sure about that at all. Over on this parts, yeah, not as bad, but still there's still lots of flash hinting here and there on the parts. Can you see it here? Yeah. Now I have to be honest with you all. When I saw these parts at Telford, there was several of the parts from the sprues were out of both this and the Sea Fury, and I wasn't quite sure at the time. I remember thinking, I'm not sure which is which. I should have asked really. But there was, and David Mummery and I discussed this, funny enough, before he sent me this kit a couple of days ago. And I said, oh, there's this photo, you know. And I said, I hope there won't be any of that. I think that was just a test shot. I trust there won't be any more problems like that. It's a bit confusing, this is actually. Just bear with me a second. There's a lot of flash on that. You've got flash, you've got sink marks. No, that's not really what we had with the other kit, is it? Let's have a look. There's another set of blades here, because obviously there's an alternate version. Are these any better? Well, actually, they have got some strange marks within the plastic, but they don't seem to be suffering from the same quality defect. Look at this. Interestingly. So we've got, if you look carefully at the plastic itself, it's got some very strange black marks within it. So there's maybe a quality issue there. Don't think that's going to give you, as the modeller, any issues at all, if I'm fair. But look at the lack of sink marks. It doesn't seem to be suffering. Well, there is a little bit. There's a tiny hint of one there, isn't there? But it's not suffering like the ones I've just showed you, which had sink marks. Every one of them had sink marks on the back. They were quite extreme, to be honest. I think that they were a problem. These, no, these are fine. Still not too keen about the presentation. But physically, I think they're okay, those. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? Right, let's move on. Let's move on and put that there. Just bear with me one sec. And we'll get to the rest of it. Here we have, we've got some more propeller spinners. Oh dear me, no, this is all going horribly wrong. Somebody said to me, I think he moans about things for effect. I've said it before, just turn the sound down if you don't like listening to me. Let your eyes do the talking. The camera will never lie, yeah? Neither will I, for that matter. But can you see, I'm having this 109 Airfix moment again, where it's suddenly going, after having euphoria and triumph with the Sea Fury, I'm not feeling this is hitting the same highs at all. If I'm brutally honest, no. Look at it. Look at the flash on this. I mean, this is like something from 1975. Well, even Matchbox in 75, you wouldn't see that, would you? That's not very nice, to be honest, guys. That's a tad disappointing. Yeah, they clean up, not the end of the world. But this is £125, this kit. Really? I'm not feeling that has any place on a £125 kit. That's not good enough. I'm being brutally honest here. Sorry, but that's the truth. Let's move on. That's one of the worst parts, yeah, actually. Now we have some parts that look really nice, actually. So let's have a look. Yeah, okay. These look nice. So you've got, a bit strange that they didn't drill that out. You've got the gun dispensers, the chutes for the 20mm Hispanos, but they're not hollowed out. Well, they are on the same scale Mosquito that I'm building at the moment from Tamiya. That's a little bit of an omission, which I think, had you got Plastech to do it, that could have easily been hollowed out, because you want to cut those out, you're going to have some fun, aren't you? Here, though, where the actual muzzles come out, that's nice enough. Nothing wrong with that, that's nice. That nose is nice. And again, the flash is kind of gone, hasn't it now? The flash problem that we've just been seeing. It's too variable, this kit. Its quality's up and down, it's all over the place. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with this. My only criticism, as I say, is that those should be hollowed out. At 32nd scale, I expect the manufacturer to have that hollow. And if you want me to show you the Mosquito, I don't know if I've got it to hand. I don't think I have that particular one. If I had it, I'd show it you. No, I haven't. But it certainly is hollowed out by Tamiya. And it was about the same retail price when it came out. Now, obviously, it's a lot more expensive now, so I don't want to be unfair in any way. But no, that's a mistake. But the quality of that, apart from that issue, the quality here on this sprue is absolutely fine. It's nice, actually. I like that one. One of my favourites so far. Oh no! I broke it! What did I do? What just happened? I actually broke the Ziploc bag, the zippy bit went off and it just flew off. I don't know how that happened. Where's it gone? Don't worry, David, I'll fix it. It's because I'm getting cross. Things are getting broke. Didn't mean to. Oh, it's there. It went up my sleeve. That's where it went. It went up my sleeve. There it is, a little white piece. Oh dear. Oh, it doesn't do much anyway, does it? Just goes on there like that. That's it. Oh dear. There we go. All fixed. That one came out of another bag, I'm not sure which one. This is going a bit off the rails, this review, and obviously I had very high hopes after the Sea Fury. I was genuinely thrilled to bits with that. This just doesn't feel like it's been to the same quality injection. It's the injection moulding. That's where it's coming apart. So the things I moaned about in the other kit, they've sort of fixed, and the things that were brilliant in the other kit, I'm afraid, have gone a bit wrong here. So here you've got your elevators. Again, if you look very closely at this, the finesse of the moulding just isn't there, is it? I mean, you can tell that's not Plastec. No. But it'll build. I'm sure it'll build into a nice kit. I don't think. I suppose the argument that they might make, and quite reasonably so, would be that given the nature of the Mosquito, because it doesn't have a lot of detail, and it is just a flat surface, you know, if some of these things I'm grumbling about are clearly true, but may not impact on the final model, so it may not be as big a deal as I'm making it in a way. It just feels a bit low rent and a bit sort of low brow for a kit that's costing this much. I didn't expect to see the sort of flash we've seen. The clear parts are not quite up to the same standard either. Yeah, it's not quite panning out the way I expected, really. Okay, and the nacelles. Yeah, they seem pretty good, those, actually. Still bits of flash creeping in, but nothing major. Let's zoom you in. It just has a slightly crude feel to the moulding here. Look at this, just above where my fingers are. Look at this leg here. Can you see the sort of flash there that there is on here? A little bit flashy. It's creeping in here and there. Not major on the big parts though, and that's quite nice. They've got good detail there. Again, feathering with flash here. It's just feathering with flash here. Not quite the same, is it? It's good, but it's not great. And the other part's just an identical version of that. So, yes, indeed. I'm not sure I'm enjoying this as much as I enjoyed the Sea Fury. No, I'm not. It's just not quite the same standard, I'm afraid. It feels like it was made by a different company, if I'm being brutally honest. Yes, this is okay. This is the horizontal tailplane. Nothing wrong with that. This moulding design, some of you may even realise who it is. It's in the Ukraine. It's not ICM's. It's definitely not their design, I don't think. But there's others, isn't there? Is it someone like Models Fit, do you think? Someone like that? Has perhaps done it for them? Don't know. They probably wouldn't tell me if I asked them. But that's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Okay, right then. I'm going to show you something which I hope will be truly incredible in a minute. Now this is in fact, interestingly, in a different type of bag, and is in fact exactly the same, I believe, as the set from the Sea Fury, which is the rockets and the pylon set. Here it is. Yes, these are the ones we saw just a few days ago in the Sea Fury. This is a very nice sprue, and this, I think that this has been moulded by Plastec. I think it's from the Plastec mould, and they are. You can tell there's no flash. It's perfect. You can see the difference. Now look at the quality here compared to the rest of the kit I've just been showing you. Got some of these fine parts here. Now if they were on those weird shaped sprues, they'd be flush, like the little fuse spinners there. There'd be flash all over those, wouldn't there? And there'd be flash all over these rockets and all these little, you know, you just know that that is done elsewhere. Yeah, I think these are made in the UK, down in New Haven. So there's nothing wrong with that one. That's probably the best sprue actually in the pack. I think it's made in another country. That's why. Okay. Now then, there's some things about this kit I really like. I like the way they put them in these sealable bags. It's quite sensible. And yeah, well, this again feels like it might be UK production because the shape of the sprue is different, yeah, and it looks like very similar to what we had with the Sea Fury again, isn't it? Huh. That's your drop tanks. And the little sort of little pallets that they go onto. So that is that one. And then we have, and again I am bound to say this, I feel sure that again, this, I think, is the Sea Fury parts. And again, I think this has been plastic moulded because you can tell by the shape of the sprue and the quality is much higher. Whoa! Careful! Dude, be careful. Oh, wasn't damage anything. Absolutely not. Yeah, you damaged it, you bought it, dude. Yeah, look at this. So you can see here again, and it's also got what looks like the Sea Fury's elevators, to be honest. You can actually tell by the shapes. The more rectangular shape are the definitely plastic moulded items. And this is again, it's the bombs that were also in the Sea Fury. So we know we're onto the same sprue here. It's got Sea Fury elevators at the end. Yeah? And there's nothing wrong with those at all. Those are absolutely beautiful. Stunning, in fact. Flawless. Really gorgeous. So that's your £1,000 bombs. Yeah. Well, the bag gives it away because it's a different type of bag, you know. Yeah. So that's another UK produced part, as is that one. Not fooling me, folks. And now we go back to these really weird shaped sprues, which I think are obviously from the third party Ukrainian extruder, injector I should say. And now we get back to, yeah, what clearly are DeHaviland Hornet parts. Yeah, these sort of weird circular radial shapes that are on the actual frame, and the sort of lack of finesse of the finish. Smooth though, there's nothing wrong with it, you know. You don't want panel lining on an aircraft that's not got any panel lines. Here we have got the final couple now. So here we've got some really fine parts, and I think this is sprue T. This looks quite nicely moulded actually, in fairness. It's strange, this plastic has got this black flecks in it within the plastic itself. Can you see them? Strange. That's kind of odd. Yeah, so nothing wrong with those though. There's no actually this has not got flash on it. That's nice. That's all looks pretty precise and pretty sharp. So that's better. Then we have got this one, which has got some of that internals for the cockpit area, the back of the seat, where the headrest goes, the armour plating, and yeah, various other components. And again, nothing wrong with this sprue. Actually, that's a nice sprue. And then, last but not least, this is the final sprue. It's not quite the very last thing. I'm hoping the best will be for last on this one. Yeah, again, these are the gear doors, but it's just got this hint of flash again that's creeping in everywhere. Can you see it? on the edges. Over here it's very visible. There, see that? Flash here, flash here. It feels a lower grade of plastic, if I'm being brutally honest as well. Look on this side, you can see the flashy bits quite clearly. Okay. It's not going to be 9.75 out of 10, I can tell you that much. I fear that they've cut the corners too much on this kit, and they have clearly shown their potential with design, attention to detail and quality of manufacturing on that first kit. Probably one of the greatest debuts I've ever seen from a manufacturer, actually. This does not, this is like one of these movie franchises where the sequel, no, I don't mean Star Wars, they had a sequel that was the best film of all time. Don't fail me again, Admiral. The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? It's not really met the level of quality of the original. But there's a chance it might pull it out of the fire, because we have here something very impressive. Scale X, which is a Ukrainian manufacturer of 3D printing. Now these guys have got quite a good reputation. They're in Odessa. Not far from the Crimea, of course. It's quite a dangerous place to be at the moment, so my hat's off to them. But 3D printed resin, let us have a look at this and see what we've got. Now David's not even seen this, because it was still sealed. He sent it straight on to me. Now then, I think that this might give us that wow moment that the rest of the kit is badly lacking. I just feel it's going to, you know, it's going to help. It's got to help. Because at the moment I'm feeling this is heading for a 7.5 out of 10 territory, which I don't want to deliver for anybody, because anything below 8 to me is a disaster really in 2026. Let's have a look then. Check it out. So what have we got here? Oh yes, I think this is going to help it score a lot. We have got 3D printed pilot seat. By the way, I'm just going to have to cut. Would you excuse me for a moment? I'm not going to edit this out. I'm just going to shut my damn central heating off, because it's come on a day when we don't need it, quite frankly, and it's very noisy in the background and it's jolly annoying. So let me just put these out for you, and I'll let you try and guess from a distance what they all are. Because I think you're going to find them actually rather interesting. You have a look at those, and I will sort out my noisy central heating boiler, and then we'll have a verdict in a few moments, I think. You be quiet, for God's sake. If you want to shut it off, there's only one way to make it instantly be quiet, and that's to cut the power. Very brutal, but it works. Right, where was I? Yes, okay, so we need to do that. Okay, so here we are. So there's your pilot's seat, complete with the height adjuster, and you've then got, I'm trying to see what some of these parts are. Oh, is it loose? I think it's loose. It's loose. Oh, so there's our parachute. That's the parachute that the pilot sits on. Yeah. Good Lord. It's all loose. This is the backing area. The seat is actually, gosh, it just falls out. It's actually physically loose. Well, this is actually good for our review, because no harm was done, and it means we can see it properly. So check this out. Now, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Look at that. Now you're talking. Yeah. And here we've got a one of the grills. I think that goes on the side of the cockpit. So that's literally come out, and it's mounting. It's supposed to be like that. I don't know. Then you've got the stick. I don't know if you can see it at the far end there on the right. It's quite hard to see. I'm going to pop that back in there. sure we don't lose anything. We don't want to do that. Got another grill over here. That's another grill. Here we've got, they appear to be part of the exhaust. So what you do with these obviously is you chop away the outer. That's the way you get at them. You don't go delving in there. You just cut it away with a cutter nipper. I think it's quite hard to tell, but I think that's part of the covers for the exhausts. Make sure we don't miss anything. A little Scale X logo here, not to be confused with Scale X Trick. Right, what else we got? Now here, we have a variety of, these are the, oh right, okay, these are the controls. You see the levers, like the control, throttle controls. You've got the trim wheels. What else have we got over this side? Is that part of the gun sight? One of the side instrument panels at the side. And here, okay, so here we have an alternate 3D moulded exit under the chin of the aircraft nose for the gun exits and the actual gun muzzles themselves up here. I don't know if I can get that a bit clearer for you. Like that, maybe. Yeah, you get the idea, I think. That does look nice, and I think that's going to probably look superior to the plastic. The plastic was no great shakes, was it, let's be honest. Then over here we have got a little bag which I'm going to have to open, I'm afraid. Otherwise we won't get the benefit. Let me zoom you back. Sorry if this has been a little bit laborious at times, but it's a little bit strange. They've got all different types of packaging. This is a bit of a mishmash, this kit, to be honest. I'm a little bit disappointed, if I'm really honest. It's not hitting the heights of euphoria that I felt with the Sea Fury at all. I hope that some of the things I've pointed out do get taken on board. So we have got our, so it's basically just the two wheels, it's just the way they were formed. They are beautiful though, look at these, very nice actually, very nice. So this is not disappointing. We've got the wheels and tyres, complete with weight on wheels and bulging. Absolutely lovely. And bear in mind, resin very rarely photographs well when it's not painted. But can you see? It's got real detail there. You can even see the inside. The brakes on the other side, the reverse side. You've got all the venting for the brakes. And on the other one, this is the opposite side. Same again. Weight on wheels. And lots of nice tread detail. Very nice. Excellent that. No, not knocking that at all. That's really gorgeous. So, yeah, it does feel a little bit to me like this 3D printing is trying to pull out. They're trying to make up for some fairly low quality, not terrible. I'm not trying to be harsh here, but by modern standards, you know, and comparing to their own product from just a week ago, it does seem a bit low rent, doesn't it? Really, compared to that Sea Fury, which was all injection moulded and didn't need any 3D printing. This needed that 3D printing to rescue it from disaster, quite frankly. I was really hoping we were onto something that would be more of the same. I'm afraid it hasn't been, has it? It's not quite hit the same heights. So what do I think? Let's put that into David so I don't lose anything. Right then. So, it's verdict time. It's going to be a tough one. You might. Well, yeah, I'm going to sit down for this. Will and Ill, you might want to look away now, I think. because I don't think they've hit the same level of quality and standards here that they did with the first kit on. So, what do I think? I think that the instructions are better, and it's got a history, so I'm very pleased to see that. That's absolutely brilliant. But the basic moulding looks cheap to me, if I'm brutally honest. And it is brutal, I know. I'm not known for being overly flowery. I will be flowery, as they've already seen, so you've got to take the rough with the smooth. That is not a good a kit, anywhere near the same standard as the Sea Fury, I'm sorry. And I'm not convinced that's worth £125. I'm just not. You know, I'm not sure it's worth it. Is it worth 100? No. I think that if you're going to go into the market in this day and age, you need to sort of do what Qatari have done, in that they have maintained a standard. I mean, I've been critical of them because of their lack of engines, and I still don't like that. But putting that aside, I think they're amazing. Yeah. That has seen a big dip though. My view, which everybody was saying to me, what a brilliant review, what a great product. The product is great. I'm going to go and get one. I'm not sure people are going to be rushing out and queuing up to buy this when they see it. I'm not sure that that's really in the same league at all. It's like that Sea Fury was like Premiership, and this is like League Division 1, Division 2, to be honest. So I'm afraid I'm going to give it 9 out of 10, which I think is a bit on the generous side, if anything. I think some of that flash is not acceptable in 2026, really. You know, the propellers and things, it was really extreme in some parts. The sinkage, no, sorry, we've complained about Airfix with this. Still, you know, it doesn't matter who makes it, where it's made. I offer no favour or fear to anyone. I don't care whether it's Airfix, whether it's British, whether it's made in Ukraine or China, irrelevant to me. I'm just going to tell it based on the quality of the product. The sink marks, the flash, the general poor surface and the poor appearance of the plastic, it looks very cheap, I think. The 3D parts are not the best 3D parts I've ever seen either, but they are quite nice. Yes, I like those. The clear parts were not as good either. But the other fundamentals are good, so I think that they need to have a very stiff talk with their injection moulder, because I just don't think the standard is high enough. It really isn't. I don't understand how it's jumped up in price as much as it has when the quality's gone down, if I'm being brutally honest. So I'm going to say 9 out of 10. Maybe somebody will say it's an 8.5, like Stuart did the other week with his own kit, that was. So what could I do but agree with him, really, in the end? And I think that my 9 is there's a lot of goodwill there towards this company, because they've been so brilliant on their launch, but I'm afraid that they have failed a little bit on this one. I think they need to just go and have a little rethink regarding these new projects they've got on the go. I don't think we want to see them going back and that becoming the norm for DBMK. We need the Sea Fury level to be the norm. And I tell you now, if you need to put your price up by £5 or £10, just do it. People long forget the price, but they never forget bad quality. They never do. And that's a fact of life. People will moan about the price, and when they see something as nice as that Sea Fury was, they're going to just take my money. People say, it's a joke, isn't it? Take my money. In other words, it's so good I want it. Just, never mind, give it to me. I've got to have it. Well, this has gone the other way. It's like, it's not that great, really. Yes, it will make into a nice kit. Even a moderately skilled modeller will make that into a nice kit. But I don't think it's worth £125. I really don't. That's my view. 9 out of 10. And I think I was pretty generous at that, really. Anyway, there we go. So, sorry it's been a bit of a downer today. I've come off my DBMK cloud of euphoria I was on from the first kit. But thank you very much to David Mummery. I'm sorry if it sounds like a kick in the teeth for David. That's not the intention at all. He was very kind to send this through, and he sent it through really fast as well. Like DBMK, you know, he sent it through like lightning quick. I got it next day. Although I did have to chase my postman literally into the next village to get my hands on it. In the car. Anyway, there we go. But thank you, David. It's very nice that he's given us that glimpse of it. And I know he's a big fan of DBMK, so I think he might be raising an eyebrow thinking, that's a bit odd, isn't it? We know what the problem is. It's up to Will and Ilya to have a rethink and just fix that for the future. But do wish them well, and thank you for the presentation. That was fantastic. And I look forward to seeing some more of their products in the near future. Hope they're going to be more to that first standard of the Sea Fury that we saw. If they do that, they're going to be one of the best manufacturers out there, for sure. Thank you for watching. Hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to join as a member if you are enjoying the channel. Lots of extra members show. We have at least 1 or 2 shows a week for members. And also don't forget to give me a like, because giving us a like or commenting is very helpful to the channel as well. Thanks very much for your time. Until I roll out another amazing new release, which is coming, please stay well, stay safe. Thanks a lot for your time in watching the show, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, thanks a lot, and bye for now.